Imagine running for your life with nothing but the clothes on your back and a glimmer of hope in your heart. You're not just running from a place. You're running from a system designed to crush your spirit and own your body. For tens of thousands of black people in the 19th century, this wasn't a nightmare. It was their reality and their destination. A rumored safe haven to the north, a place called Canada. This is the story of the Underground Railroad, but not the one you might have heard in school. This is the raw, terrifying, and ultimately inspiring truth behind the journey to freedom. The term Underground Railroad conjures images of secret tunnels and train cars. But the reality was far more gritty and perilous. It was a clandestine network, not of tracks and steel, but of people, brave individuals, both black and white, who risked everything to guide enslaved people to freedom. There were no tickets, no schedules, only whispers, coded messages, and an unwavering trust in strangers. The conductors were guides, the stations were safe houses, and the passengers were the freedom seekers themselves. The cargo was often referred to using terms like parcels or bales of black wool to fool prying ears. The journey north was a harrowing ordeal. Most escapes happened on foot, under the cloak of darkness. Freedom seekers would travel for weeks, sometimes months, covering hundreds of miles through dense forests, treacherous swamps, and freezing rivers. They faced the constant threat of exhaustion, starvation, and exposure to the elements. But the greatest danger came from humans. Slave catchers, armed with guns and accompanied by vicious dogs, were always on their trail. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 made their job easier and the journey even more dangerous. This law meant that even if a freedom seeker made it to a free state in the northern U.S., they could be legally captured and returned to enslavement. There was no true safety until they crossed the border. Think about the psychological terror of that journey. Every rustle of leaves, every dog's bark in the distance could mean capture. Capture didn't just mean a return to bondage. It often meant brutal punishment or even death as a warning to others. Freedom seekers had to rely on coded signals that could be easily missed or misinterpreted. A quilt hanging on a clothesline with a specific pattern. A lantern lit in a window, these subtle signs meant the difference between a safe place to rest and walking into a trap. They had to be masters of deception, hiding in cramped attics, secret cellars, or even coffins to avoid detection. The fear was a constant companion, a shadow that followed them every step of the way. One of the most powerful and terrifying parts of this history is that freedom seekers often had to leave their entire families behind. Imagine making the impossible choice to flee, knowing you might never see your spouse, your parents, or your children again. The letters and records left behind are filled with this heartbreak. The hope of creating a new life in freedom. And perhaps one day being reunited was a powerful motivator that pushed them through unimaginable hardship. The North Star Polaris was their celestial guide. On clear nights, it was a constant beacon, a fixed point in the sky, pointing the way to freedom. They called it the drinking gourd, following it north toward the Big Dipper. But on cloudy nights, they were left to navigate by feeling moss on the north side of trees or relying on the directions whispered to them by a conductor at the last safe house. They waded through cold streams and rivers, not just to cross them, but to throw the slave catchers' dogs off their scent. This wasn't an adventure. It was a desperate fight for survival. Many believe the journey ended the moment they set foot in Canada. But crossing the border was not the end of the struggle. It was the beginning of a new one. While Canada, as part of the British Empire, had abolished slavery in 1834, it wasn't a perfect paradise free from prejudice. Freedom was real, yes? The moment they arrived, they were legally free. No one could buy or sell them. No slave catcher could drag them back. You can only imagine the wave of relief, the first full breath of air as a free person. It must have been overwhelming. But the new arrivals, now called Black Loyalists or refugees, faced immense challenges. They arrived with nothing, often in the dead of a harsh Canadian winter. They had to find housing, work, and food in a new country where they knew no one. They also faced systemic racism and discrimination. While they were legally free, they were not always treated as equals. Many white Canadians held prejudiced views, and black communities were often segregated, with limited access to good jobs, land, and education. Despite these obstacles, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They built vibrant communities, churches, and schools. Places like Buxton, Ontario, and Africville, Nova Scotia, became flourishing settlements founded by former slaves. These communities were a testament to their incredible resilience and determination. They established farms, opened businesses, and became leaders in the fight for abolition and civil rights. Not just in Canada, but by supporting the cause back in the United States. Figures like Harriet Tubman, the most famous conductor, made numerous dangerous trips back into the South to guide others to freedom, often using St. Catharines, Ontario, as her base of operations. The stories of individuals are what make this history so powerful. There's Henry Box Brown, who mailed himself in a wooden crate from Virginia to Philadelphia, a journey that took 27 excruciating hours. There's the story of Lucy and Thornton Blackburn, whose capture in Detroit sparked riots, allowing them to escape to Canada, where they founded Toronto's first taxi company. These aren't just names in a history book. There were real people who faced down unimaginable terror with courage that is hard for us to even comprehend today. The Underground Railroad was a testament to the worst and best of humanity. It exposed the brutal cruelty of slavery, but it also showcased incredible bravery, empathy, and solidarity. The network was a complex web of cooperation between people of different races and backgrounds, united by a common belief in human dignity. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, ordinary people can do extraordinary things to fight for what is right. So, the next time you think of the Underground Railroad, remember the fear, the cold, and the darkness. Remember the families torn apart and the constant threat of capture. But also remember the North Star. Remember the courage of those who ran and the bravery of those who helped. Their journey to Canada wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one that has shaped the multicultural fabric of Canada and continues to inspire the fight for freedom and justice around the world. The legacy of the Underground Railroad is not just a scary story from the past. It's a powerful lesson for our present and our future. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as moving as I did, please like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into history, and share this important story with others.